Now today, it's really snowing outside, so there's really nothing I can do out there. So I thought what I'd do, well, let me just move this. I thought one of the things I could do is pass on to some of my friends who are also in the middle of restoring a bike, what is involved in redoing a wheel. Now, number one, you could leave the wheel exactly the way it is on a bike. Wipe it off with a clean paper towel or a dirty paper towel or olive oil or something and think nobody will notice. But if you decide you want to have a really a nice wheel, a chip foose kind of wheel, well, like the wheels we did for the RD and for the FZR and various other bikes, and the thing to remember about a wheel is you have an unlimited choice of color choices now. Now, if you powder coat it, that's one thing. You take the wheel off the bike, you take the tire, the valve, bring it down to the guy, he'll glass bead it or whatever they do. Powder coat it, boom, and you're done. Well, for 150, 100 and a quarter, you're done. But I'm not satisfied with that. I want the finish to be a lot nicer. So for me, I want to do it myself anyway. So what I want to do is, I did this in steps. Took the wheel off the bike. That's a relatively easy thing. Take the tire off. If I'm going to use the tire over again, in this case I can take it off with tire irons the old-fashioned way. I really don't care if I scratch it because I'm going to paint it. But if you have a bike, and it's already on the YouTube videos, if you're going to use powder coated or painted or chromed rims and you don't want to scratch them, I've shown, there's a video Glenn and I made of putting the tire on without tools. There's no scratching at all. The only trouble is you have to cut the tire off with a hacksaw or a Dremel tool or something, the old tire. If you want to reuse the tire, that's a whole nother thing. That opens up a whole nother can of worms. But we have a heat box, and we're going to demonstrate that at some very soon time. So I wanted to say, what I've learned about doing wheels, and I want to pass this on if I can. First off, wheels are usually disgustingly dirty, filthy, greasy. So I pretty much used up, and I did this, and I kept track of the time. It took me about 6 hours to get to this point. I took a little copper brush, wire brushes, got in all the corners, soaking it with simple green. Then I went over it with SOS pads. The idea is to degrease it. Now you can see in this point here, I've got it all back masked up to about 1/8 inch from the rim because I want that paint to bend around the edge. If anybody, now, and this is funny, the first time I painted the first wheel, I really was in for a shock. I thought, oh, genius that I am. I'll put it on the end of a broomstick, clamp the broomstick to a table, spin it, and so awkward, it's unbelievable. Try to hold it, well, unless you're Glenn Hansen or somebody that's a monumental bodybuilder, holding a wheel for any length of time, it gets heavy. So my plan was, at this point in time, I had my old, and by the way, Pokey is the one that graciously donated this to our cause. Pokey, thank you. I covered it with tin foil so I don't get it all different color paint. And you can see what's nice is when I go to paint this, and maybe we'll put this on video, I can spray this. In this case, this is self-etching primer. Now, what I'm going to do, at some point in time, when the wheel has to be totally clean, and you could look back at that video that I just posted up there before the Bob thing. You got to get rid of all the grease. If you don't, the paint's not going to stick, no matter what you do. The second thing is, you got to get this rough with sandpaper. Now, and steel wool sandpaper, it can't be bright and shiny. And you got to get around the edge, or else the paint is going to chip right here, even if you put the tire on the way we do without tools. So, in this case now, and as I look back at this, here's what the problem, maybe a problem. There's still a couple of spots I'm not happy with. Well, I'm going to sand them out, of course. I'll probably put another coat of primer on this. It won't really matter because here's the thing. Part of this wheel is done in a machine. It's nice and smooth, it's polished. But up here, it's a casting, it's rough. But when I'm done with the paint, I want this to be as if it's all shiny. I don't want to see any casting marks. So it's going to require maybe sanding it out even a third time, I don't know. it won't matter. It's snowing outside. You can't even go outside, let alone go work on a bike out there. Or God forbid, take a ride. But anyway, if you assume that up to this point you got 6 hours into this job, the paint on a wheel is probably going to be a pint would do 2 wheels. The clear, you can do it a lot cheaper than you can powder coating, assuming you do all the work yourself. If you don't do the work yourself, it's going to be a lot of money. So, but the thing is, you have exactly what you want. Now, in this case, I want to have a color here, have it really fine. I haven't even mixed the paint yet. I'm going to mix my own color silver and see how I have it. I have several different thicknesses of flake. And then if I don't like it, I'll wait a day or so, sand it down and change the color. But because I have all the other parts of the bike painted and polished, I get a real good idea of how this is going to, the overall look. And because of my extensive art training and color wheel matching, Vince would be the only one I know, and maybe Karen. But anyway, I just look at things and I like them or I don't like them. And what happens, wheels are a critical thing. I've seen bikes, we've seen bikes on Perkins, where it's a beautiful, beautiful bike, every part of it, and all of a sudden he's got something, the wheels don't match or something. Or they have these real expensive wheels and they look like they're painted flat black. Well, it's all in the eye of the beholder. But I like to have a nice shiny wheel here when I'm done. And of course, whatever I do here, I got to do in the front when I do the front of the bike. But anyway, the point of making this video today was, I wish I could go outside and paint today, but it's just not happening. Once the wheel is on here, whether I'm priming it, whether I'm sanding it, picture whatever else I'm going to do today, it won't matter. Having it in this thing, by the way, pokey-boarded, but it's about 25 bucks in Harbor Freight. Everything is available in Harbor Freight. And Bob, go to Harbor Freight, open up an account, drill press, get all of these things. It's not like it's rocket science. I'm just trying to pass on things that have worked for me. But here's the nice thing. Once and when we painted Glenn's wheels on the Ducati, the gold wheels, as soon as I put this in here and I showed him this, all of a sudden the light went on in his head. He said, "Yep, that's it. That's the way to paint a wheel." Now, another trick, and this is a really good trick, if you're painting the wheel from this side, whether it's primer, paint, whatever, there's angles, edges. It's very easy to get a run. So what I'm saying is it's better to put on 3 or 4 really light coats, stand way back, mist them on. And the Jot is getting real good at doing that. And it doesn't matter if you're out there for a half an hour, who cares? But to get enough material on, and then when you're done and you think the part is done, turn it around and shoot it from this side, because now you're going to get all of these corners, angles, edges, up in here, up in here. Now, yeah, this gets to be a labor of love. But you know what? Everything we do is a labor of love. The easiest thing in the whole world to me is you go buy a new motorcycle. And then you get up on Sunday morning and you look at it, you turn the key, go for a ride, come home, put it back in the garage. Well, our life isn't like that at all. We have to, and Luciano's the best one. When we see something, the first thing is, how easy is that going to be to take apart? How many parts are we going to lose putting it back together? But anyway, I don't think there's any part of this, and I'm pretty sure that Najat is going to do some Ducati wheels soon. We know that that's not out of the question. Glenn has already done a set of wheels. I know Vince has some BMW wheels to work on. But if you think of it this way, if you come over on a Saturday morning with the bike, 6 hours later, it'll be like this. And it's your 6 hours. So I'm only here to supervise, and I'm assuming people can work a lot faster than I can. Well, but maybe everybody can. I don't know. But I do know that when I'm done here, I have an unlimited choice of colors. I can put a really nice bright finish. I can put one of those real thin stripes if I want. I'm not sure. I saw something I liked years ago. They had Kawasaki written in here on one of the race bikes. I'm not sure I want to do that, because what I want on this bike, when you stand back and look at it, I want the green and the purple to stand out. I don't want the other parts to stand out. But as this bike's evolving, we got so many polished parts and so many carbon parts and whatever. Another thing I'm going to try to do today is inside the fairing, since they're all buffed out already, inside the fairing where you would never see it, or I'd see it anyway, I want to paint it flat black. The reason for that is when I'm riding the bike and I look down into the Grand Canyon in between the fairings and stuff, I'd like it to look nice. Again, everything about this is about details. Now, when these wheels are done, I'll probably have 10 to 12 hours in each wheel. Now, you can figure out what your time is worth. You can figure out what you think my time is worth. You can figure it all out. But if you really want this level of quality, there's only one way I know to do it, is to really pay absolutely crazy money or do it yourself. And that's the object of the videos, is to help people see how to do something, supervise them, help them. Your ability to learn off of the videos and just being in the shop, or like the overhaul and bob thing, very, very helpful, I think. And at the same time, when we're all done with this, you develop a bond with friends. It's really nice. Now, as I always do at the end of every video, and by the way, my email is windyu@AOL. I wanted to show, this is Najat's. He's working up towards something like this, but he's using his track bike parts to basically for practice. And I think he's got his own color scheme. Here's some nice gold wheels. You know, the only problem with having wheels gold is everybody's got gold wheels. Now, these look like they have a purple stripe on them. That looks kind of neat. But anyway, here's what I want to do, is show the progress report. Here's the tire we took off, and I did want to use the tire again, so I took it off with tire irons. The swing arm, we already have that video out there. The shock came out like a brand new shock. I spent time last night. These are the old levers that came off the bike. They're carbon fiber adjustable levers. I didn't like them, but I do have a spare set, and I polished these up like a mirror. Boy, these, talk about something, a little detail you can do to any bike. You can polish the levers. Wow. And you can do this in a matter, I think this took less than an hour. And I got the disc all cleaned up. All of the little parts that hold the brake on. So what I'm saying is, when this bike is all put together, and we'll do the fairings buffed up like a mirror. Wow, you can't imagine in real life how nice these look. What's going to happen, the seat, of course, because we recovered the seat and we did some custom embroidery on it. I think that green, the little green thread, I even bought the Kawasaki green thread for that. So what I'm getting at is, if this stuff is really entertaining, and for some people it is, and for me it is anyway. Here's Najat stuff up on, you know, we're getting so crowded here, you can't even move around. Najat's purple Ducati stuff. These parts are absolutely, that's unbelievable how nice that part came out. I was really impressed with that. We have this custom windshield, the matching helmet, the Frank Straub helmet, and we're not going to wear that when we ride the bike. That's just for shooting some pictures and whatever. And some of the carbon fiber parts we had to make from scratch. And I just think there's going to be a day very soon when we start putting this together, and the John Parthia decals, and what we're going to do, hopefully, and I'm just letting the cat out of the bag here, we're going to have a work day at Wendy's one day in the spring, and it'll be when it's comfortable working in the garage, of course. And we'll try to get the whole A-team together, and we'll overhaul Wendy and get this whole bike put back together. What I'm doing is one piece at a time. This bike is winding up in my cellar. And this has been the only thing that's kept my sanity over the winter. Anyway, my email is at windyu@AOL, and hope you enjoyed the video. Share it with your friends.